You may not know it, but this is a faith tree. I'm going to talk about it today. I hope you picked up one of these cards on the back, but if you didn't, you can pick one on the way out. I'm just going to take a moment to look around and see you and say, hello, I'm so grateful to look out and see these people with whom I have a heart connection. Thank you for being here today, and thank you for everybody joining online as well. I am going to weave together some stories. I'm going to share some biblical messages. I'm going to talk about some of the things that Rachel started us off with in her song about affirmations. Or if you want to rename them like I did, let's call them Faith-irmations. We can have some Faith-irmations to really ground us in our faith moving forward. I'm going to talk a metaphor and metaphysics and, hopefully, who knows what else will come up in this time we have together. Then we'll wrap it all up. You're going to get to take one of the messages from the faith tree with you, and we'll have a faith lift during this time, right? Does that sound good? Are you all in? Are you down? As my daughter says, are you down for that? We're about midway in May right now. And any of you gardening, planting anything, fertilizing, doing some fun stuff, you're knowing that we're in this growth season, right? In May, then moving into June, that's the time of growth. And we can plant some seeds too, some faith seeds. So we know moving forward through the rest of May into June, we can pretty much count on that it's going to be a little hotter than it even is right now. But other things we're less sure about. But we can know in our hearts, in our inner being, that it's good, that what's going to occur is going to unfold in a way that supports us and supports our highest growth and development. Now, every now and then, we get some surprises. We get some storms. We've had some pretty intense storms in Dallas recently, even tornadoes, even hail. And we know that those can come and they can go, right? And yet, we can stand strong. When we remember our unity principles, when we remember that everything that shows up in our lives at our doorstep is in fact a blessing, that gives us that assurance that we are enough and we can move forward joyfully. We have faith in God as the one power and one presence active in the universe, right? That's part of our unity core beliefs. So even though what is going to unfold and what happens next is as mysterious to me as the depths of the ocean, for example, I can take each step knowing that I am supported, that I am loved, that I have like-minded people that I can connect with. And that's what makes this opportunity, at least on Sundays, to be together so important, so special. So I may have used this quote here before with Hafiz. He's a 14th century poet. And he said this. He said, "We have come into this exquisite world to experience ever and ever more deeply our divine courage, freedom, our daily word of today, and light." So how do you become more courageous? How do you foster and develop that courageous and to experience more freedom and to be immersed in more light? That's by stepping out in faith. So about 10 years ago, I stepped out in faith. And I decided to pursue the coursework and the activities and the teaching and all that went into becoming a licensed Unity teacher. Whew. I didn't know quite what I was getting into, but it was amazing. And just about 10 years ago, this summer, I went to Unity Village and I engaged in a week of testing, oral and written exams, and I got to stand in front of 11 of my peers and some evaluators, teachers, to do a presentation, to deliver a lesson, and to get feedback on it. And all these things you do over the course of a week before you are certified or licensed as a Unity teacher. And I was doing some cleaning the last week in my jewelry, sorting it out, letting some of it go. And I came across my licensed Unity teacher pin, and I decided I would wear that today. It's just something, it has wings, it's a kind of the Unity wings idea, but just as a symbol of that meaningful time. So when I did all this, I went away. I went to Unity Church of Hawaii, as some of you have heard me say before, and I did an internship for 8 months there. And it was such a deep learning and growth experience. And my word for my teaching was faith. And I've been pondering that. And I wanted to share with you some of the things that are resonating with me right now, again, at this time in my life, with some of the opportunities or challenges that are coming forth. I realized that when we are in life, when I was at the ocean and I didn't surf, I barely even got in the water when I was in Hawaii during those 8 months because I was too busy. Sometimes I never even saw the ocean on a given day. But we don't go into the water, or the surfers don't go into the water hoping for small waves, do they? Any of you ever watched surfing or done surfing yourself? They want the biggest waves. They want the waves that will test them and challenge them. And that's kind of what we seek in our life. We want new opportunities that are going to allow us, as Hafiz said, to call forth more and more of that courage, that wisdom, that strength. This really reminds me of a quote of one of our Unity ministers that has written countless books and is so wise, Reverend Eric Butterworth. Any Butterworth fans in here? And he said this, he said, don't go through life. Don't just take each step hoping to get through each day, but grow through life. Set that intention that it's going to be meaningful and powerful and awakening. Has anybody in here really tapped in to the vastness of their full potential? I haven't. I hope not. I hope there's still more to uncover. There's still more to learn. There's still more to observe and absorb. So before we talk more about faith, I brought another candle with me today that I'm going to turn on. And I'm going to call this our faith candle. And we're going to set that right up here. I guess it's maybe my Catholic upbringing. I still like a lot of candles, and I like candles to set intentions. It brings me comfort and peace. And this is going to lead me to tell you a quote from May Rowland, one of my other favorite Unity women. And she said this, "When faith becomes a flame in my mind, I see by the light of this flame that there are no impossible situations. I know that there is a way through every difficulty." I know it. When Rachel sang her first song, she talked about the power of the I am. I am faith. I am faith-filled. we're going to create some affirmations for ourselves during this time together. I'll share a few with you, and we're going to plant some seeds. On this card, you may have noticed that there is an image that looks like somebody throwing seeds, and I'm going to tie that into the rest. So how do we draw strength from what we read in Hebrews, that faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen? There's a lot of things that we can't see that we believe in, right? And I read one quote, I didn't include it, but it talked about Wi-Fi. We can't see Wi-Fi, but we believe in it. We know it's there. We trust that we're going to have that connection. So what about putting that same belief in faith? Charles Fillmore is one of our Unity co-founders, and he talked about faith as the highest expression of belief or confidence. But Charles reminded us that it can work for us or against us, right? Because do you ever hear somebody or notice that somebody seems to be putting their faith in the wrong direction? You can put your faith in that you're not enough, or that terrible things are going to happen to you, or that you're probably not going to get that job, or you're probably not going to have that relationship work out. Sometimes we talk to ourselves in such a way that we're putting our faith in what we really would not want to create. So we have to be discerning, do we not? Mr. Fillmore said, whatever you form in mind in and have faith in will become substantial. So you should be on guard about what you put your faith in. So am I putting my faith in my highest good, or am I putting my faith that I'm never going to get it to work out, that I'm not lucky, that I'm not enough to be chosen for a particular thing? The Bible, and I didn't grow up reading the Bible a lot. I made friends with the Bible later in life. In fact, during my Unity training. And the Bible references faith more than 430 times. Do you think there was a message there about faith? 430 times. And one of the most powerful and well-known of the Bible readings about faith is in Matthew 17:20. And Jesus says, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you. Well, I don't know if you all know what the size of a mustard seed is, but it is pretty minute. So can you envision yourself having that level of faith and then planting it, growing it, nurturing it, watering it, tending to it? Because really, we all are born with the faith that we need, but sometimes we discount it or don't do what is necessary to bring it forth. So metaphysically, what does a mountain represent? It may represent a flat tire. It may represent a bill that's overdue. It may represent a breakup that you're having with a friend or a family member or a relationship. We all have all the faith we need, but we just need to look at possibilities rather than impossibilities. Be a possibility thinker. So there's an illustration of this in Matthew 14. Some of you may remember this Bible story where Jesus calls Peter out of the boat in the midst of the storm to walk with him on the water. And at first, when focused on the Christ, Peter was able to do it. But then he got distracted and he started noticing the storm. Maybe there was lightning. Who knows what he got distracted by, but as soon as he lost the focus on the Christ, he began to sink below the water. He began to struggle, and he sank deeper and deeper into the darkness. And we can do that too, right? We are reminded by that story that faith is a choice, and we can keep our focus direct on our highest good, on our spiritual abilities, our 12 powers. We can call silent unity. There are things that we can do to keep us focused. And when we are in that mindset, when we are cultivating our faith, we have that higher level of consciousness that we achieve. And we can continue to move forward and say things like, I know that I have what it takes to work this out. I know all is well. Now, sometimes people get frustrated when they are reminded, oh, it's all good. You know, sometimes people say that kind of as a dismissive thing, oh, it's all good. But at the core, we know that's true. Because Jesus, and we consider him in unity our master teacher, he lived his faith. He believed and saw a circumstance as true until the appearance matched the reality. Jesus wanted us to focus on our faith in a more expansive way so that we could create the same things that he did, right? That we could call forth our innate abilities. He wanted us to break down or break through any barriers so that we could find ourselves abundantly blessed, living a life of joy, manifesting the things that were beautiful and seeing that unlimited possibility. So there's one more Bible story I want to share. This is the most Bible stories I think I've ever put into one talk, but they just all seem to work together. It just flowed together for me. And this is about from the book of Exodus. You may remember Moses, and he was one of the exemplary leaders in the Hebrew scriptures, but unbelievably, his followers were giving him a hard time. Can you imagine a leader and the followers are like not being cheerfully supportive? Maybe you've had that experience with some of your followers as well. But despite all his heroic efforts to lead them out of Egypt, the Israelites got whiny, negative. They were complaining. Wah, 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 wah. Maybe you've heard that from people on your team or people in your family or even people in this community. I can hardly imagine, but you never know. It usually pops up in some of the challenges. And then they came to a pretty big barrier. It was called the Red Sea. And maybe you've had a barrier in your life or an obstacle that felt as big as the Red Sea. Because we all have those. We all have those things that we just are stopped in our tracks. And we can become frightened. Maybe you've blamed somebody or you've had other people blame you. Or we think, oh, this can't be happening. No, no, no. And we think, oh, fate has conspired against us to create this. But reading from Exodus 14, verses 13 and 14, we read, but Moses said to the people, do not be afraid. Stand firm and see the deliverance God will give you today. You need only to be still. You need only to be still. And then Moses held up his staff, demonstrating his power and his faith, and he parted the waters, and he unblocked their path to freedom. So some of the words, the word Valerie said, the affirmation in the daily word, and Rachel's words, we're using some of the same words. The synchronicity always touches my heart and makes me so happy. We can feel desperate at times, and we can think, oh no, there's no way I can move through this. There's no way I can get around this barrier. But the greater things in our lives, those will happen. It may not be the way we imagine, but trust that when you are sinking into fear or doubt or sadness or lacking peace, that there is a way forward as you continue to call yourself into that stillness, into the silence. Dr. Emily Cady said that faith does not depend on physical facts or on evidence born of the senses, because faith is born of intuition. And we all know that we can allow ourselves to get quiet, to listen to the small, still inner voice rather than all that external chatter. Sometimes we have to turn off the noise. It may be literally turning off your television. It may literally be disconnecting your phone and allowing yourself to tune in into the way forward, to listen for that divine guidance, and to know that the storms do pass and that you are more than enough. We have an inner divinity, a Christ light that is available to us in every interaction, in every situation. So I'm going to share an affirmation with you, and I would like for you to give your voice to it after I say it. My faith assures me that all outcomes work for my highest good. Together, my faith assures me that all outcomes work for my highest good. On the slide on the screen, I have a picture of a spiral staircase, and I included the quote from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who said, "Faith is taking the first step, even when you can't see the whole staircase." And sometimes we feel as if we're on the verge of stepping off a cliff, or that there may be some danger lurking, but faith assures you that you can do it, that you can move forward. So what are you going to create this month? The rest of May and into June, I'm going to put this at the end of the service at the back, and you can take one of the quotes off the tree, and I have extras that I'll lay at the bottom of the tree. Write your own affirmations. Get clarity for yourself on what you can do. What is it going to take? What's the fertilizer? What's the soil? What's the water that you need to embrace so that you can grow those seeds of faith, that they are so vibrant and so clear for you? One more I'm going to say as I conclude, a faith-focused affirmation. It will all turn out well. I don't know how. I stand on the solid ground of faith, and so it is.